I'm ready.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Well, how are we doing? This is Bob Gums with the Concerned Forum. And how are we this Saturday? It seems like every Saturday it's just another package of woe and trouble. But let me also include woke. Woke, 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 woke. Woke, woke, woke. As you probably noticed, I enjoy saying that word, woke, because I am so sick and tired of right wingers trying to condemn people that use the term woke. Folks, listen, woke is just another way of saying wake or get awake or wake up or pay attention to a particular thing. I guess maybe that's why right wingers and Trumpists they hate that word, because when you tell people to get woke, that means that they need to pay attention. And as we've seen so far with many of these Republicans, and especially Donald Trump, there happens to be a whole hell of a lot of things that they don't want you to pay attention to. And the more American people realize that, the better off this country will be. Something else I wanted to say before we plunge. The biggest problem that we have, especially in our so called cities, is the problem that black men have in the social market and in the job market. Uh, don't get me wrong. It breaks my heart. I mean, I have friends, I have family that live and breathe in the same urban areas that everybody else does. But you have to understand a problem to fix it. And the bottom line is that the black man, in spite of Barack Obama sitting in the White House, in spite of that, and in spite of the fact that it looks like we're getting ready to have the first black female Supreme Court justice, in spite of that, the lowest person on the totem pole in this country is your black American male. And please don't point to me, don't point football stars or basketball stars or even baseball stars or actors or entertainers, okay? That is not what we need when you're talking about how society treats people. That is not, that's not proper. But I guarantee you, as a matter of fact, I would almost get this other microphone here. But I would pretty much guarantee you that if you spoke to your average working class black male, I would say between, I don't know, 10 and 70, they will tell you the same thing. I've noticed that here in New York, for example. You walk into any office, any city office, how many black men do you see in there? Now, when I'm talking about black men, I'm talking in particular about black American men. All right? How many do you see in command positions? Basically, number one, how many do you see in the office in general? There's a reason for that. And there was a time, ooh, maybe I am starting to get old, but there's a time when you had a good amount of black men, for example, working in city government. I'm looking basically back in the late '60s, early '70s, but that has changed immensely, and I think that something needs to be done about that. I just experienced something yesterday. Uh, the organization that I'm with, which I don't work for the city, but I work for an organization that is contracted by the city to help with this COVID emergency. And I tell you, quite frankly, I'm really shocked. It seems that there is some kind of like when Herod supposedly uh, slaughtered the infants, right? The slaughtering of the infants. We've had something like that similar um, at this place that I was working at, where in one section they've gotten rid of all the black American men. And I know I'm going to catch hell because, people will say, oh, well, there he goes. He's one of those conservative black guys that's trying to bring about this unity between black men and other people of color. No, that's bullshit, okay? Pure bullshit. No, I'm not doing that. But what I'm saying is that unfortunately, the race problem that we've dealt with here in America for so long has gotten so much into our system that basically black men are considered, how should I say, the bottom of the barrel. And it shouldn't be that way. It is. I glorify in the success of everyone, gay people, LGBT, the whole bit, women, the whole bit. I am so proud of that sister that, good Lord willing, she will make it to the Supreme Court. I don't know. I feel like dancing on her behalf because it is a great thing. But what we have to learn how to do, all fair-minded people in this country have to learn how to do, is treat everyone fairly. Okay? And don't tell me that I'm full of it because you will find this problem even in law enforcement. How many times have we not heard black American men talk about the way that they have been treated by black officers in law enforcement? People are not imagining this. And after I saw what happened to myself yesterday, and after I saw what happened to another African American brother, it's there. It's unfortunate. It reminded me of an incident when I was in the Navy, quite frankly. For some reason, some people feel extremely intimidated by black men. And the intimidation, it doesn't just have to be with white people. That's something else that we in the black community need to understand, right? All our problems are not about white folks. And I know that that's going to be hard for some of us to take, okay? But, you got to be real. You have to be honest. And sometimes with people of color, we are our own worst enemy. And the best thing that we can do, the best that anyone can do, black man, white woman, black woman, Hispanic man, be fair. Be treated as you yourself wish to be treated. And the place that I worked with, It, like I said, it's contracted, right? It's a private sector, but they were contracted by the city. All right, and I tell you quite frankly, I did not see a whole lot of fairness in that situation that I was in. Um, Now I'm going to deal with that. Okay, I'm going to talk to some people, both in politics and in the legal profession, because I'm not going to be disrespected. And if I see anybody, I don't care what color you are, and I work with you, and I know you, and I see that you have been treated unfairly, I'm on your side. I don't care what color you are. It's going to be rough. I know. It's going to be rough because all I have is this right now. And it could be scary. It could be scary when you're out there and you see things that are wrong and you're being taken advantage of and you're by yourself, but you just can't give up. You know, wait until you get home, have a couple of beers or whatever, whatever you do to relax. But you can't give up. We can't give up. When we see injustice, we can't just turn our back. Oh, well, I'm sorry they got rid of him, but as long as I behave like a quiet little mouse, I'll be okay. Well, no, that's not the right attitude. That's not the right attitude. We have to develop that state of mind, not just in the black community, but in America in general, that it's one for all and all for one. Because if we don't, when you hear people say, oh, well, just worry about yourself. Well, if we all start worrying about ourselves, then pretty soon there's not going to be anyone around to worry about any of us. And I know that that's a hard thing for many people out there to take. But it's true. Right now, black American men are the most discriminated group in this country. And I'm not forgetting about oh God, how women in this country were treated. Quite frankly, I can never see why any woman of any color would, politically be a conservative. I just can't see it. But as they say, each to his own. But yeah, we have to look at the treatment of how we've treated black American men over the past 100 years, for example. In America, we have a very bad problem. It's one of our greatest weaknesses. And our enemies know this, by the way. That's why, what's the first thing they do when they want to cause us grief? The first thing they do is they get on the old computers and they start doing all these head games, and they start with all these, patriots for this and patriots for that, and lo and behold, you find that patriotic Americans for the Second Amendment, and crap like that, and you find out that organization is headquartered in Moscow, some damn where, or some other part of Eastern Europe, and that's one of the problems when you selectively dump or allow a certain group of people to be dumped on. And it just goes on and it rolls on and on and on, and it boils into something bigger. And that's the problem that we have in urban America, quite frankly. And yes, by all means, teach personal responsibility, right? We all have personal responsibility. We have a personal responsibility that when we see injustice going down, we have the personal responsibility to stand up and speak out. Why is it that our young men basically get on the public school to prison network. How's that happen? It happens because of incidents that I've just gone through over the last couple of months. And that if you are a black American male and people just don't like you the way that you carry yourself, and I'm not talking about disrespecting anyone, just being who you are. Well, you are going to, they are going to try and shaft you. And I'm sorry. That's just a fact of life. I've been seeing this for the last 60 some odd years. And it's gotten old. It's gotten too old. It's to the point now where it's become a clear and present danger to the quality of life here in the United States in these modern times, in this 21st century. And it's time that people start to speak up about it, no matter who it offends. So that's all I wanted to say on that subject. Now, on the other subject, which is closely similar, the Academy Awards, okay? We all know what happened, and we know why it happened, okay? Chris was wrong for making a crack about somebody's disability, and Will was wrong for marching up to the stage and smacking the guy, right? And it really hurts me. It hurts me in here. It truly does. Because both of these brothers, we're not, believe it or not, we're not that far apart in age. I'm happy to say that I watched both of these young brothers and their meteoric rise to stardom, and they made the whole community proud, both of them. But at a time when black men are labeled as being loudmouthed, ignorant, and violent, we have a situation where one successful brother teases a sister because of her handicap, and the other successful brother walks up to the stage, walks on the stage, and gets violent. And I just think that it's so sad. Now, hold on, because I don't want anyone taking this in ways that it's not meant to go. There are a lot of women out there of all colors, all right, who secretly, yeah, don't try and hide it. You've smiled a bit inside. You might have sat there in the living room and went, the horrified lady thing, but in here, you, well, put it this way, you sympathized, okay? I know if you were, what's his name? The wife of Senator Ted Cruz, you might have just poured yourself another drink after watching that slap down. Because, see, Ted Cruz, he is on the other side of the pale, right? Because he basically, not only did he do nothing when his wife was insulted, he has basically, since that incident, he has basically done everything he could possibly do to basically crawl up the offender to basically camp on his rear end. I mean, he's another one like Graham from South Carolina. He's another one that basically he's kissed this man's feet. And I'm sure that his wife could not have been pleased about that. I mean, look, I'm not trying to get into her head. I'm just speaking generally, right? And I do know, having been married, that, and God rest his soul, but I do know that, hey, man, your woman, and my wife was a martial artist, but I don't care. Your woman expects you to stand up for her when she's being insulted, And especially, not only stand up for you, she doesn't want you to, after the initial incident, she doesn't want you to basically kiss the man's backside. She would much rather prefer that you never basically dealt with that person in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I think that I had to put that in there because, see, I know I've seen what has happened since, and what is it that what is it that Fox always says about balance? Well, in my own clumsy way, I'm trying to bring a little balance on a sad scene, But you looking at Ted Cruz, a man that, for all practical intents and purposes, did nothing when his wife was insulted, and you go from there to a guy that maybe perhaps did a bit too much, but that's just the way it goes. But that's something that I felt that I needed to speak on and try to put in some perspective. And believe me, I am so sad that these two brilliant black men have got themselves in that pickle. And I hope that they manage to work it out. And I think that at this point, we've all basically said what we've had to say. I think maybe it's time for people to back out and let both of these brothers heal and just let it go at that. Because, just like, what's his name? Pirro on Fox, Judge Pirro. I laugh every time I hear that. And anytime I have to say it, Judge Pirro. What in the hell is she? I'll let that go. Okay? But as Her Honor basically said, these two black men, they think they're still back in the hood. Okay? So we know where that's coming from. So that's why I say what I said, and I hope that these two men can, work out their issues. And we don't need to be a part of that. And I hope that people will give them the space. And that's really all I have to say on that particular subject. Now, as far as what's going on with the Ukraine, I think that all of us, as citizens of a democratic republic, need to stand up and cheer for what Ukraine has done and what they are doing. Putin is a bully. The whole world knows that. I mean, come on. And you always have to stand up to a bully. Because being a bully, it's like, being hooked on heroin, or being hooked on being an alcoholic, or being hooked on any other kind of drug. Bullies are bullies because they like being bullies, right? And that's why I'm quite sure your mom and dad told you a long time ago, you have to stand up to a bully. That was the biggest mistake the West made with Adolf Hitler. They didn't stand up to these bullies. They didn't stand up to Japan when she was marching over the Chinese. and basically destroying that country. One of the reasons why, yeah, because see, stuff comes back to haunt you. One of the reasons why China has always been a very difficult nut to crack, a difficult country to get along with, is because, see, they remember, we here in America, or a large percentage of us, we're the only country that wants to always forget stuff, all right? We are truly the capital of denial, okay? The United States of denial. But see, most of the rest of the world, they don't think like that. They remember what you did to them or didn't do to them, or you didn't help them when they needed your help. And see, that's one of the problems with China. China don't forget. China doesn't forget when you roped off certain sections of Chinese cities like Shanghai, for example. And in the so-called Western section, they had signs and fences. Dogs in Chinese not allowed, right? In their country now, see? In their country. People don't forget that. They don't forget that sort of thing. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that America has. We don't like to remember things. The only folks that have a thing about living their life or conducting their society based upon their memory are people from down south. I'm sorry. I call it like I said, right? Yeah, you got parts of the South where they're still fighting the Civil War, right? And those are about the only Americans that pay attention to the past, okay? And then when they pay attention to the past, they get it wrong, right? Just like they try to say Reconstruction was a time when the newly freed slaves went into the state legislatures and basically turned it into a clown circus where black folks sat up behind the state assembly person so-and-so, sat behind his desk, took off his shoes and socks and put his feet up on the desk while he was drinking moonshine and biting on a big chunk of ham. Right? Yeah, that's how Reconstruction has been played in the South. They don't mention the fact that working class people, poor people, were finally able to go to school, grammar school, on the state's expense when Reconstruction came about. But they don't know that. See, that's a part of Reconstruction that they don't know that, and those who do know, they damn sure don't talk about it. But yeah, Reconstruction brought free public education to the South. So before you start trying to knock Reconstruction, you better sit down and draw yourself a picture of before and after. See, that's what I meant when I said that what little history they remember in the South is usually wrong. But for the rest of the world, they got a damn good memory. You think the Irish will ever forget Cromwell? I don't think so. Right? But see, that's the problem, with the United States. It's like we totally overlook the pain of other people. And China was treated like garbage until World War II, until the Japanese started really advancing in China, especially Eastern China, okay? We're talking like what, 1934, 35, 36, right? That is when the Western powers started to see eye to eye with the Chinese, primarily because they were scared of the Japanese, quite frankly. Japan made a horrendous mistake because instead of being the one nation of color in the Pacific, and they had the strength, but they chose to be a sorry copy of Britain, France, and the United States. Now, the United States never had any territorial claims in China, but they sure cleaned up economically. So we had a small naval and marine contingent in China, like along the Yangtze River. That's where you get that Steve McQueen movie, The Sand Pebbles. As a matter of fact, that's what propelled me to go in the military the first time. My buddy and me was over at his house getting mellow, and he's 18, I'm 17, and we're watching Steve McQueen, the United States Navy, fighting pirates on the Yangtze River, fighting pirates and warlords. And see, that's how it was back in the 20s and the 30s. So you can't, you got to think about that anytime you're dealing with a country like China. Same thing with Iran. They had their own democratically elected government, and because of the fact that they wanted to set the price for their oil coming out of their ground, Britain and the United States decided that they were communist. So they overthrew the democratically elected government in Iran and brought back the same royal family that we and the Brits had chased out in 1940 because they were too close with the Nazis. Now, if you were an Iranian and you knew all about that, how would you feel? How would you feel? I don't know, if Brazil or Canada or somebody overthrew our government and brought back, I don't know, King George III, brought back his family to rule here in the United States. How would you feel? See, those are the questions that most of the time Americans don't ask themselves. And then when we find ourselves in a whole lot of trouble somewhere in the world, oh God, how did we get into this mess? And this is terrible. And why? What happened? Well, you got to think about things, number one. And number two, you have to know what the hell you're talking about. Now, this business in the Ukraine, Joe's doing the right thing. Because Putin, he doesn't have any respect for the rights of anyone except for himself. Now, he's told you that. He has shown you that. I think Russia has more reporters that have attempted to fly out of windows than any place else in the world. And the intelligence agencies of Britain, France, the United States, Belgium, they'll tell you the same thing. Whenever he thinks he can get away with it, he kills the people that don't agree with him. So that tells you right there what kind of person that you're dealing with, what kind of country you're dealing with. And then on top of that, Russia today is essentially a gas station run by crime bosses, overseen by the head man, which is Putin. That's real. The intelligence agencies from any country in the world will tell you that. So that tells you right there, you really can't take this guy's word for a whole hell of a lot, right? And then, and this is what really, really trips me out. This guy tried to steal our election so that we could elect someone that is amenable to him. Oh, well, I don't like that woman, Hillary. She's too shrewish, and she's always criticizing me when I try to do the nasty things that I want to do. But this guy, Trump, I've known him and his family for years, right? He comes over here all the time, comes over here for the holidays. I like him. He has the same warped way of thinking that I do. So I'm going to work to try and get him. The first time it worked, okay? Because they took advantage of our crazy ass system with the Electoral College. They should have got rid of that when they got rid of slavery, quite frankly. Because that's the only reason why Trump got in the first place. But see, that's what Putin has done to us, right? He has tried to interfere in the natural progress, social and economic progress of my country. So we already know what kind of person this guy is. He will go around the world trying to make mischief. So there's no downside for Biden in helping the Ukrainians. Because frankly, Obama should have dealt with that guy when he was in the White House. But yes, I know, we're talking about nuclear weapons. Well, that's the bad thing about nuclear weapons. Because you always have to hope that the people that's in charge of a particular country that has nuclear weapons will have the maturity and the humanity not to use them. And when you hear Putin talking about using tactical nukes, all right? Oh man, Katie barred the door. Seriously, that's no joke. Then you're left with a choice. You're going to back down, or you're going to do everything that's necessary to protect your country, to protect the rest of the world. Because if there's a nuclear war, believe me, tactical nuclear weapons just means I'm fighting. What's the name of that country? The name of that city, Kiev, right? I know I'm probably mispronouncing it. Please, forgive me. But just to get the point across, I'm Putin. I'm trying to attack and ultimately take over, say, Kiev, right? All right. I'm trying to show. Well, listen, I'm not trying to be the big nuclear war monster. I'm just going to use these tactical nuclear weapons. Which you can fire a tactical nuke out of a tank. All right. So we're going to fire a couple of them. That's going to wipe out whatever fighting forces they have. Hey, I'm sorry for the civilians that are trapped in there, but oh well. And, they'll see that I'm serious, and that's it. Well, number one, you and I both know somebody starts throwing around tactical nuclear weapons. That's not going to be the end of it. Because then the opposition, they're going to come up a little higher, and then Putin will go up a little higher, and we'll have to go up a little higher, right? So the next thing you know, you're right in the middle of a thermonuclear war, right? Not pretty. Everybody loses. Okay? But see, here goes the thing. Are you willing, or I should say, is the world willing to allow themselves to be bullied by Putin? It's just that simple. And eventually, no matter how many times you crawl to him and kiss his feet, there'll probably come a point in time where he might just throw out some tactical nukes. Anyway, that's why you don't play around with bullies. You let them know that one time, hey, no, that's not going down. And if you try to make that go down, we got something for you. See? And I hope that Biden, I'm pretty sure that he does. I just hope that he follows through. And another point is that I love what the Ukrainian people are doing. I love to see when people are fighting for what's theirs, their freedom, their right to make their own choices. Now, the only thing that I would ask of Joe Biden is the same way that you stand up and you tell the world that America is the champion of global freedom, because that's what you're doing, right? And that's a good thing. But I like to call him Uncle Joe. I don't agree with Biden on a lot of things, but I like the guy because I know he's at heart he's a decent guy. But I wish that he would that stirring talk that he's been putting out there, right? I wish that he would bring that talk home here in America. I see some of these Republicans, they are out there publicly supporting Putin, right? But you also have some of these Republicans, well, most of them, I guess you could say, well, we have to stand up to Putin. We cannot allow this enemy of freedom to scare the rest of the world into giving into his wants and desires and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Republican senator from the state of who gives a damn. Okay. I'm with you, baby. Yeah, we got to stand up to Putin. But by the same token, we need you, Mr. President Biden, you, Uncle Joe. We need you to make that same speech to these damn Republicans who are trying to stop people from voting, who are trying to make it difficult for people to vote, who are trying to make it so that the only people who can determine who won or lost an election, they're all Republican. They're the ones who are trying to engineer a way so that they can stay in office forever. And they used to say, or we used to say, that the states are the real laboratories of democracy. Well, nowadays, it looks like the states have become the laboratory for authoritarianism, for tyranny, for dictatorship. Because I swear to God, sometimes when I listen to that clown in Florida, what's his name? The governor, DeSantis? Or whatever? Yeah, DeSantis. I have a real problem. I guess maybe I'm a head case. But people who I see are really disgusting human beings, okay? I have a problem sometimes with, calling their names right off the top of my head. I guess that's because of the fact that people such as those I dislike so damn much. But yeah, I listen to the Santos, and sometimes I can't tell who's this, Mussolini or is this Hitler? or is this Putin? You listen to him. I can't, I can't tell. This guy wants to tell you how to talk, what to talk, and what you should think. And this is the governor of the state of Florida. Now, coming around the circle, and I know people have heard me say this a zillion times, I am a Democrat. But I will tell you, the thing about my party is the fact that they need to stand up more than they're doing. They need to be willing to go out there and take a punch. I fought in the ring for a few years. I know what it means, all right? If you're going to get into a fight, make up your mind that you are going to take some hits. And with Democrats, every elected Democrat needs to do is they need to stand up. And they need to speak these truths and not back down and call out the enemies of freedom in America for what and for who they are. And see, this is what the Democratic Party, this is what you need to be working on. Excuse me, this is what we need to be working on between now and November. As we used to say in the circle, a gut check. Understand? Start stretching out, start bringing out that good old intestinal fortitude, and show people that our democracy, our belief in people's right to rule themselves is a good thing, right? And that, yes, intelligent, decent people can find room to disagree on the subject like, say, abortion, okay? But no one, under our form of government, no one should have the right to tell you that you can't have a baby or that you must have a baby. And that's something that, people need to stand up and shout it from the rooftops. I'm not a woman, okay? I don't know what I would do in the circumstances that I have seen, women wind up in, okay? So to sit there and say that, well, there should be no such thing as an abortion, that's asinine, okay? That's one of the main reasons why I left the Roman Catholic Church, because I could not see myself as being part of an organization that would dictate what a woman should and should not be able to do with her body, right? I said it before and I say it again. That's between a woman, her conscience, and her doctor. And if she chooses, her significant other, right? See, a lot of these people that are so anti-abortion or anti-choice, in their mind, they either choose to ignore or they just don't understand. A woman could be in a situation where a guy comes home one night, drunk as all hell or whatever. She's concerned about economics, this, that, or the other. She's afraid if he found out that she was taking some kind of birth control or something of that nature, and he simply decides to beat the living hell out of her if she doesn't give it up. And then eventually she finds herself pregnant. What is she going to do in a situation like that? I mean, that's just one example. But, you know, you got all kinds of stuff happening in this country. So for anyone to make some kind of, you know, blanket, well, no one should have the right to have an abortion, that's insanity. That is gross stupidity. And I think that it is cruel. It's cruel to set women against their own fetus. It's madness. And to be quite frank about it, the whole abortion thing should have never been the subject for politicians. Okay, um, no women, and I'm quite sure any decent doctor will tell you, no woman looks forward to trying to use abortion as a form of birth control. Anybody who's ever had surgery will tell you that having yourself cut open over and over again, that's not a healthy thing. That can't be a healthy thing, psychologically or physically. So this business about, oh, well, I'm pro-life and blah, blah, no, that's bullshit. Okay. And the sooner we grow up as a nation, I think the better off that we will be. Okay. And for those who always try to throw the Bible at you, I will say one thing. You notice the Bible says nothing whatsoever on the subject of abortion. And abortion was all during biblical times, when the Bible, around the times that we believe the Bible was written, they had abortions back then. But I know of no one in the Bible that's ever come out and said that abortion is wrong. You know, I'm sorry. Not that the Bible is something that you can always base based upon science or vice versa. But that's just the truth of the matter. You know, we have to. You know what? For those who believe in the Creator, I would say here in America, we need to work upon getting a true religion. You know, a religion that basically says, hey, we don't believe in hurting anybody. It's not right. People people do have a right to self-defense, but by the same token, we should go the extra mile to not have to hurt, to not have to kill. We should not be comfortable when we're living in a city and we know maybe right downtown or maybe uptown, you know, you got a whole bunch of people who are sleeping in the streets. We should have a religion that says, hey, you don't have any business being comfortable because your brothers in the Creator, they're homeless, or they can't, you know, they're not able to see a doctor to get their ills cured, or we have a bunch of hungry kids running around here, and until things like that are taken care of, we don't have any right calling ourselves a religious people. We really don't. As a matter of fact, it would seem that Americans, year after year, they're not as religious as they used to be. Every year, it goes down. And you know, maybe that's one of the reasons. Because we know that this whole thing about religion in America is phony to a large extent. You have very few, what I would call true Judeo-Christian, Islamic groups or organizations or churches, temples, mosques, what have you. Very few. Because people, they have come to see that religion made a big mistake when they got on that right-wing conservative gravy train. Because people nowadays, they're sick of that crap. I'm supposed to vote for you because you're a right-wing nut and you're a preacher. I mean, come on, man. Fortunately, we do have intelligent people in this country. We still do, miraculously. And intelligent people can see through that nonsense. And that's something that I think, we need to take a look at. And let me see, because I'm trying to hit around something here. You have a lot of these folks that also believe that America should just retreat into a little shell somewhere. Oh, we shouldn't worry about what's going on in the Ukraine because America first. And I think that is such an ignorant thing to say. It truly is. Why? Why ignorant? Because it should be apparent. Even if you only got out of the third grade, you should be able to see for yourself. The world has rapidly grown smaller, whether you like it or not. We were talking about nuclear war, right? What in the event of something like that, that would be a catastrophe for the whole world, not just the United States. The problem with climate, right? That's not just about some hippy-dippy trying to say, we can't burn coal anymore. No, it's about the destruction that we have brought upon this planet. It's about the environment. It's about the filth that we have dumped into our oceans. It's about the kids who are growing up who can't breathe properly because of all the crap in the air. And one more thing before I sign off. I am so tired of this argument about CRT. Listen, folks, it's a legal theory, it's a legal principle. Does color come into our criminal justice system? The answer is yes. Okay? If you can bloody well read, then you will know that the criminal justice system, the legal system, has basically shortchanged not just American black people, and in particular American black men, but it has a history over the last 200 years of shortchanging people of color, Native Americans, Hispanics, women, right? We have a lot of work to do, that's all. And when I say get woke, that's exactly what I mean. Get woke. We need to pay attention to the inequities in our society. What in the hell is so radical about that? If my plumbing in my kitchen is not working properly, I try to get people to come in and help me fix it. Is that being radical or is that just plain common sense? We have to really take a look at what the hell is happening to us, for God's sakes. We hate science, we hate logic, we hate critical thinking. Oh, and by the way, one more thing. I don't just want to see the story of black Americans taught in school. I want to see all of our histories. The Irish, the Italian, Jewish, Eastern European, Asian. I want to see the history of all of us. All that needs to be taught because that is the glory of America. the fact that you got all these different knuckleheads from all over the world, and yet somehow we came to this country either willingly or unwillingly, and we were able to create something and build something beautiful. And that is what the glory of America is. I don't give a damn what these right-wing knotheads are talking about when they say, "Yeah, America first." America is everyone. It's that Irish kid over there, that Italian boy, it's that black dude from uptown. It's that Hispanic brother from the Spanish Harlem on the east side. It's all of us. It's that kid from Appalachia. But we come together as a nation, right? Maybe someday there won't be just the United States, and then here's England, and here's Germany. Maybe I'm looking 300, 400 years down the road. I hope eventually it does come to that. You know, kind of like what you see on Star Trek. Because I tell you, quite frankly, I don't see this planet surviving another 100 years, 200 years, the way that we're going now, right? But that's okay. I want to at least know that our ideals, the good things about us, I want that to be, if they had like some kind of world constitution or something, right? I would want the American ideals that all of us are created equal, that we all have dignity. That is what I want to see. Someday, that will be a point of incorporation for the entire planet. That's the world that I pray for. That's the world that I will always fight for to the day I die. But we have to stand up to the hate mongers, to the people who are anti-everybody, anti-LGBT, anti-women, anti-people of color, anti-intellectuals, anti-science, and anti-this and anti-that. We have to stand up to those people and say, no, the world belongs to all of us. America belongs to all the Americans. And who are the Americans? All of us. We are. Listen, you folks take care. God bless. See you next week. And this is Bob Gums with the Concerned Forum. Take care. God bless.